So, hello and welcome. Take the head. So, I haven't made a video for quite a while. Felt like I needed a break from YouTube. But I thought I would come on today and talk about a few things which hopefully might be of value and interest for you. So this channel is called Akasha Love, making space for love, which is also my artist name. And I came up with this name in 2020 when I was, 5 years ago, I was 46. And I was looking for, I guess, some guidance and direction for the continuation of my life. I guess I got to a point where I kind of felt that I finally understood the purpose of human life, which is to love, to make space for love for yourself first, and for all the other beings in the world, including plants, including animals, including all the other people in all the other countries. I felt like, okay, this is the reason we're here. We're here to learn to love. And having got that understanding and download, and I guess I was feeling like, okay, I understand that. I've had that experience. I can see that the opposite of love is not so much hate, but fear particularly of the other, whether that other is so-called enemies within, like in the US now, where people are being vilified, where immigrants are being basically rounded up like cattle and imprisoned or deported without any kind of fair trial because of President Trump's policy of basically kind of vigilante harassing immigrants, cleaning up so-called the country, getting rid of these unwanted illegal immigrants, the other in this case. And then, of course, we have the horrible, terrible situation in Gaza, where the whole population of Palestinians have been othered for 75 years, for the whole time that Israel has been in existence. They have othered those people, they have demonized them, and they have, there's been basically an ongoing war against the Palestinians for the whole time that Israel has been in existence. So the goal of life, I believe, is actually to love each other, to love yourself and to love other people, and to overcome this othering problem, which is a human problem, right? To recognize that everybody is the same as us. Everybody deserves the same things that we deserve. Everybody deserves a safe place to live. Everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves kindness. Everybody deserves justice, fair treatment. Yeah, a lot of the immigrants actually being rounded up by these vigilante squads in the US are actually legal to actually have their citizenship documents in order. This is very, very unjust way to treat them, to treat such people. And I believe it's also very unjust way to treat a so-called illegal immigrant, right? I mean, this is a political territory, but even those people deserve basic, decent treatment and due process, no? Not to be hounded and rounded up and assaulted in the street, in the school, in the house, yeah. Everybody deserves basic decency and justice. So, yeah, the reason I guess I kind of came up with this name, Akasha Love, was just this need for myself to find a kind of a mission for the rest of my life, because I kind of felt that I really understood everything. I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I got the download on life. I understand my lessons. I understand the karma that I've been given, how that's played out in my life so far. And I kind of was like, oh, do I really need to continue? Do I really need to stay around another 40 years or 50 years? Like my grandmother lived until she was 100. So if I'm like 51 now, that's about another 50 years. So yeah, I really need a reason. Being human, being part of this species that can reason, that can actually think things out in a way that animals are not really so much able to, although I would probably argue that our capacity to reason often is overridden by our ability to other people and our ability to use our minds to kind of hate and marginalize people. And this is something that animals don't have. So I think in a way animals are more intelligent than us, because they have their animal instinct, they protect themselves if they're being attacked by other animals, but they don't decide that a whole group of animals are evil or wrong, and therefore they're going to kill them all. Animals kill each other based on the need for food, but not they don't have this idea of turning whole animal populations into the other and trying to exterminate them. So in some way, I feel like animals are more evolved than us humans. So yes, getting back to this mission, Akasha Love, I was like, okay, well, that's a good mission. I can be here and just take on this mission of creating space for love within myself and within others who I meet. So this is what I'm attempting to do. And I do find that, of course, when we have these kind of terrible things happening in the world like we do now, on a really big scale, obviously this work of supporting people to open to love themselves, to learn to love others, to learn to have better relationships, it's incredibly important and needed, right? So needed. So I guess maybe that's why I'm here making this video today, even though I'm sick, got quite sick yesterday. I wonder if I maybe got sick because my dad was having an operation. Maybe the fear kind of invaded my system and I was affected by that. But yeah, that's why I thought I would come and do this video, because it's just so important that we all of us humans on the planet learn to love each other, that we learn to evolve, that we learn to overcome this terrible need to control and dominate others, which I think which is very fear-based, right? It's a very fear-based behavior. Why does President Trump need to round up immigrants, use kind of thug squads of vigilantes to go and round up immigrants? Why? It's why does he need to persecute and control people who are literally just doing their best to live their lives like anybody else? If he was not governed and ruled by fear, would he enact such a policy? Why does Netanyahu and all of his cronies in the Israeli government decide that annihilating the Palestinians is going to be the way forward for peace in Israel? I mean, this is totally insane, no? It's completely crazy to think that destroying, annihilating, and starving your neighbors is going to create anything good at all, let alone peace. I mean, that's obviously just creating a very, very intense karma. The karma which has already been circulating in this region for 75 years, or since the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, since the first Nakba, when the first Palestinian people were pushed out of their lands in Israel and pushed into the Gaza Strip. So right at the beginning of the creation of Israel is the beginning of this circle of karma. The circle of persecution, persecuting, othering these Palestinian people, pushing them out of the lands where they lived, their territories of their ancestors. Sorry. Othering them and then persecuting them. And slowly stealing more and more of their territory through these illegal settlements which have been growing all the time, slowly eating up more of the Palestinian territory. So this is the beginning of a deeply painful karmic cycle. One that now has fully flowered into this total genocidal campaign. But this karma will not end by destroying everybody. Even if every single Palestinian person is killed, which is the goal of the Israeli state, if you look at any of the images coming out of Gaza over the last 16 months, and especially now, it's basically flattened the whole territory and they're not allowing any food in. So this is the goal, the extermination of these people. Just the same as the goal of the German state under the Third Reich, under Hitler, was extermination of the Jewish people. And the Jewish people, now represented by the Israeli government, are enacting the exact same goal, but on a different group of people. And so this karma cycle will never end. Yeah, it won't end until the cycle stops, the violence stops. will it ever stop? I don't know if it will stop in my lifetime. But I think that the extent to which it is now, the flowering of the violence now is going to force a change, because it's fallen over the cliff. Yeah, it's a psychotic state now, Israel. So yeah, I don't know how this will progress. I wish I could do something to stop this incredible wave of violence against these people. I feel powerless to do anything, but at least I can speak about it. Yeah, that's one power that I have from here in Bali. At least I can talk about it and talk about what is going on. I wish I could literally go there and bring food to these people and stop the Israelis bombing them. But failing that, I can talk about it. I can raise my voice, and I cannot be afraid. I'm not afraid to stand up for justice, kindness, decency, treating other humans with basic respect. I'm just amazed, I guess. I'm just amazed that the leaders of the Western countries that could have easily stopped this horrific genocide have not. They have not. And in fact, quite the opposite. They have supported it. US and the UK have been sending arms and weapons to Israel, literally directly supporting their genocidal campaign against the Palestinians, who have basically little to no capacity to really fight back. So the leaders of the Western world obviously know this, and still knowing this, that these people have no real way of defending themselves, the Palestinians. So to call this a war is completely wrong. It's only a war if there's two sides which have a reasonably similar capacity to actually fight the war. When one country has virtually no capacity to fight back, it's not a war. It should not be called a war. So knowing all of this, these Western countries, the governments of these countries, have still supported this campaign of annihilation and ethnic cleansing, genocide, and now starvation against these people. Why? Have they no humanity left? Have they no soul? How is it that, as for example, Trump or Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, how is it that you can see this, that you can see that these people are being exterminated, and you can stand there and help. I really don't understand how that is possible. It's kind of beyond me. But studying history in school, studied the French Revolution, studied the Russian Revolution, studied World War I, World War II, studied the colonial invasions of Australia, America, not so much. Colonialism is a kind of a war as well. Basically a hostile takeover of another country. So Spain in much of South America, England in Australia, and America, North America. And then so many African countries also colonized by Europeans, so the Dutch in South Africa, the French in Algeria, Mozambique, Senegal, I think. Yeah, in Senegal they speak French. So studying the history, you kind of see that these wars just repeat and hostilities repeat, and humans don't really seem to learn anything from them, and they just go on and on and on, cycles of control and domination and taking lands from other people, which is the process of what's happening in Palestine today. The goal of Israel is to take all of the Palestinian land and empty it of Palestinians. So will this ever change? I don't know. Seeing how many thousands of years of human history where it's repeating, somehow it looks doubtful. But I guess it only changes if we stop the violence. And I think that's the interesting thing too about seeing if we can draw this down to our own life and look at our own relationships between people in our family or friends, and see if we can really be kinder, be more loving, be more caring of the people in our life, and grow nonviolent relationships. There's a book called Nonviolent Communication, which I've forgotten who the author is, but that book is about working on your communication in your close relationships, so that you communicate in a way which is not violence. And strangely enough, it's way harder than you can imagine. It really is. And especially because most of us humans, we don't really learn anything about this kind of thing in school. I at least did not learn anything about how to develop healthy relationships, how to communicate healthily, how to have boundaries, how to communicate your needs and wants with respect, how to not engage in controlling and manipulative behavior, how to not be dominating, how to respond to people who are being dominating towards you in a healthy way. Like, I didn't learn any of these things in school. So these are all questions of interpersonal relationships, how to relate healthily with others, and they start right in the beginning. They start in the home, start in the family, start with parents and children, right? and then move into school relationships when kids start developing friendships. And I think the fact that we don't actually, at least in my schooling, which was in the 80s and the 90s, we don't learn really anything about these topics, I think shows us where we are at as a species. That we have not really evolved yet to understand that we need to actually study and learn and practice relating to each other better. So I think that is happening now in the schools of now, at least here in Bali. There's a school called the Empathy School, usually teaching children how to have empathy and recognizing that this is not an innate skill. It's not something that people necessarily will develop without some help. Some people, yeah, but not everybody. So I think that's probably a good place to start for everyone, myself included. If we work on this project of loving ourselves and others more, then let's start with our own close relationships. Let's start. So that's, I think that's all I have for today. Yeah. Do let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts around these topics of how can we ever end these cycles of violence amongst humans? How do we improve our communication in our intimate relationships? How do we develop more empathy? What is your process of making more space for love for yourself and others in your life? I'd be interested to know, to find out more about you. And if these kind of topics are the kind of things that you are interested in, then please do subscribe to this channel. I'll see if I can start making some videos again if I'm feeling inspired. Okay, I will see you next time.